Welcome back to Literary Leap. Today we are diving into Act 4, Scene 1 of Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare, a turning point in the play where power dynamics and political alliances take center stage. So stick around as we break down the drama, the strategies, and the intense plotting that sets the stage for the chaos ahead. So let's leap into it. Now, Act 4, Scene 1 introduces us to the new power structure in Rome. Antony, Octavius, and Lepidus are forming the second triumvirate, which means a group of three people who share power or authority. But all is not well. We witness their cold, calculated decisions, drawing up a hit list of political enemies and weighing loyalty against convenience. It's a scene that reveals the ruthlessness of leadership in times of turmoil, setting the tone for the unraveling events to come. In Act 4, Scene 1, we have Antony, Octavius, and Lepidus in a room plotting how to handle the aftermath of Caesar's assassination. They have formed an alliance, but the relationship is tense and filled with power struggles. Now we have Anthony, who starts off by saying that many people will be killed as part of their proscription, which is a list of enemies marked for death. The names are already written down, so here the word pricked means marked. Now, Octavius reminds Lepidus that his brother is also on the list to be killed, and he asks Lepidus if he agrees to this. Lepidus, on the other hand, agrees to the killing, showing his loyalty to Octavius and Antony. However, when Octavius mentions to Antony and tells him to write the name of Lepidus's brother on the list, that is, mark him for death, Lepidus goes on to say that he will agree to his brother's death, but only if Publius, who is actually Antony's nephew, is also killed. So we see he's bargaining for his own interest. Now, upon listening to Lepidus's condition, Antony agrees to this, marking Publius for death with a spot or a stain or a mark. This shows how casually they are making life and death decisions, like as if it's no big deal. Now, Antony orders Lepidus to go to Caesar's house and bring his will. The three of them will review it and decide how to reduce or take away some of the gifts and legacies Caesar left behind. So, this over here is an act of greed and manipulation. Lepidus asks Antony if he will find them here when he returns. That means the place where they are at present. And Octavius replies that he might find them either at this current location or at the Capitol, the center of Roman power. Upon hearing this, Lepidus leaves to carry out his task. Now, once Lepidus leaves, we see a change in Antony's behavior and his attitude towards Lepidus. Antony criticizes him. He calls him a slight, unmeritable man, that is, a person of little worth. Now, Antony is asking if someone so weak and unimportant should really have a share in ruling the Roman world, which you must remember is now divided into three parts, one for Antony, one for Octavius, and one for Lepidus. So Octavius defends his decision to include Lepidus. He says that Antony once agreed to have Lepidus participate in their decisions, even voting to have others killed. The word black sentence means a death sentence. So Antony explains that he has lived longer than Octavius and he knows how to manage people like Lepidus. He says that they are giving Lepidus power only to help themselves, like putting gold on a donkey. The donkey carries the gold, sweats under the load, but does not really enjoy the benefit of it. Similarly, Lepidus will carry the weight of their decisions and will only be used until he is no longer needed. So we see Antony uses the metaphor of the donkey or an ass to describe Lepidus. The donkey is a symbol of someone who is useful for carrying a heavy load but is not respected or valued. Hearing whatever Antony has to say about Lepidus, Octavius defends Lepidus again, saying that despite his flaws, Lepidus is a brave and experienced soldier. So now Antony compares Lepidus to his horse, saying he is like an animal that is trained and controlled by its rider. Just as he trains his horse to fight and obey him, Antony and Octavius control Lepidus. He calls Lepidus barren spirited, that means without real intelligence or ambition, and accuses him of only repeating what others have done before him. He tells Octavius not to talk about Lepidus as anything more than an object or like property. Antony continues to address Octavius and he calls his attention to something important and significant. So, this shows Antony's sense of urgency and leadership. He informs Octavius that Brutus and Cassius are gathering armies against them. Now, this refers back to the events after Caesar's assassination. If you remember, Brutus and Cassius fled Rome to rally support. Levying powers means raising forces or armies. Now, Antony stresses that they must immediately prepare to oppose Brutus and Cassius, that is, make head, which means to take action or organize resistance. So, this is a metaphor comparing their preparation to a force that will confront the enemy directly. Antony insists that they must remain united to face the threat. He suggests strengthening their friendships, alliances, and using all available resources in the form of money, men, and strategies to their advantage. Means stretched is an example of a metonymy where means represents all their resources. Antony proposes that they meet immediately to discuss strategies. This shows their readiness to plan and act quickly. They need to uncover secret plots, covert matters, and deal with them effectively. So, the contrast between covert, that is hidden, and disclosed, which means revealed, highlights their focus on uncovering conspiracies. Octavius agrees to Antony's plan and he points out that they are surrounded by enemies, some of whom may be pretending to be friendly. He says, some that smile. It refers to people who seem harmless but are plotting against them. And we see that the scene ends with Antony and Octavius leaving to continue their plans. So, in a nutshell, in this scene, we see power and manipulation. Both Antony and Octavius show a ruthless side, using Lepidus as a pawn in their political games. This illustrates the corrupting influence of power. We next see betrayal and trust. The use of Lepidus, someone they see as weak, shows the lack of trust between the three leaders. Although they form an alliance, they are already plotting against each other and preparing for more betrayals. Now, we also see Roman politics. The Roman Republic is crumbling, and these scenes reflect how leaders like Antony and Octavius are willing to do anything, including killing their own allies, to hold on to the power. The mention of the proscription refers to a practice from Roman history where powerful men would create lists of enemies to be killed. And finally, we see the metaphor of Lepidus as an ass or donkey, which is central to understanding his position in this power structure. It highlights how he is seen as an unimportant tool for the ambitions of Antony and Octavius. And that's a wrap on Act 4, Scene 1 of Julius Caesar. This scene shows us the cold, calculating side of power and sets the stage for the intense confrontations ahead. Thanks for watching this breakdown on Literary Leap. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Shakespearean insights. Until next time, keep exploring the power of words and the worlds they create.